Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I first caught the video for Rock and Roll is Black back. It was last year. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it was that long, but I think you had you not released stuff leading up to that like a year ago last summer?
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, any videos. I know because I know you had a pretty good pop on that particular song, the Rock and Roll is Black.
Yeah, the first song I ever dropped was Puro. That was March of last year. Then Messiah followed.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Rock and Roll is Black was my third release. That was July.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, again, that was my first introduction to the music, and I guess the first thing that
Yeah.
caught my attention was the groove. It has this kind of throwback to the 90s. I guess it's now classic rock. I mean, I think when you listen to that music from the 90s, like Rage Against the Machine and all those contemporaries that came out around that time. And then obviously then there's the lyrical content. I mean, what inspired you to get into this type of music?
I just feel like I fit it the best. Like when it comes to my type of ideas, my views, the things I want to personally speak about, and the intensity that I want to speak about it with, I feel like it's just a perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's the one genre where you can say these types of things so boldly without like having to hide it behind like a lot of genres they'll have intense topics, but they try to like put it behind these metaphors and they make it more abstract. I like metal, I like punk, I like heavy rock because it can be very bold in your face and it doesn't have to hide behind a mask.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Were you a fan of any particular metal acts prior to you starting to record and write this kind of music?
Yeah, I've been a metalhead my whole life. I've been into heavy music since like middle school. So I guess, yeah. So like middle school, I think I started off like with the general things that middle schoolers like. So I started off with more like pop punk. And then I kind of got into the reason I like new metal is because I think new metal is a really good gateway drug to metal if like that type of music is new to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think because new metal kind of like helps like connect those like maybe the hip hop and more mainstream genres, it kind of connects it. So um I've always been a fan of new metal bands like Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park or Rage Against the Machine or Papa Roach or Deftones. Like I've always been a fan of those like fusion type of artist.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, what got me really inspired to join the genre was when I started finding more women-led bands like Ginger, Straight Line Stitch, and kind of seeing, or in this moment, and seeing people, like seeing women in a lane that I've never seen them in before, where it was like such power with women voices. It like inspired me a lot. And I was like, I want to be this kind of woman.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be this type of badass woman that like says what they want to say when they want to say it. And so, yeah.
So one of the cool things, like I mentioned, the one thing that kind of draws the listener in is the initial music, the groove, the riffs, and all that kind of stuff. But how important is it for you to do, to record music that has a message behind it? Because I know all your tunes have messages behind it, either life experience or just, a message in general. How important is that for you to have a message in your lyrics, in the music?
For me personally, that's my only motivation. I think that different artists have different reasons for why they do what they do. And I'm aware there are some musical acts that they just want to make stuff that makes people feel good, or maybe they just want to make stuff that makes people dance, or maybe they just like, making music that that, you know, people can cry to. For me, I like music and I like to make music for people who want something thought provoking. And sometimes it can come off as controversial or come off as like shocking. But really for me, it's like I like to make music that causes conversation. And I think especially conversation that's needed. Um, and I like to fill the void.
Mm.
I feel like I hit a lot of topics that are not heavily saturated in music. And I think I hit topics that people typically would not expect a person like me to address. And that excites me.
Hmm. Uh, why do you think for some people you know, as we were talking earlier, I discovered the music with rock and roll is black. Why do you think there was kind of a little bit of pushback by some people on that one? Because I get the message, and I don't view it as controversial at all. I mean, that's basically it, right?
I think when you live in an anti-Black world, anything you say that empowers Black people is seen as controversial.
Hmm. I mean, I think anybody that knows the history of music, I mean, it all kind of goes back to the blues, and then it goes back further than that. So it's kind of interesting that people would have that kind of, uh, pushback on a tune like that.
It doesn't shock me. Like I said, when you live in a world where it's majority anti-Black, when you empower a group of people that most people don't want to see empowered, it's always going to cause controversy. I think that the narrative that especially Black Americans have contributed nothing, and I think the narrative that Black Americans have historically only contributed to like very minor things has been such the norm that when you tell people um in depth like how much more we have created and how much more we have contributed, I think it's like a shock to people, but I can't blame them because the average person who goes to school in this country is not learning about Black greatness and Black invention and Black contribution. And Black people are typically left out of the conversations of when things are talked about, when things are talked about invention and creation and discovery, a lot of Black people have been left out those conversations. And the only history most of us learn is the oppressive part of Black history. So when you tell people like about Black greatness, a lot of times it's like number one shocking and confusing, and they genuinely like believe that it cannot be true. And then rock music has successfully been rebranded to like exclude exclude us. So the thing about it is like I can't be surprised. Same with country music,
Mm.
you know, like these things have Black roots, but
Mhm.
when people have been excluded from it and and the PR of it and everything has been exclusive is excluded us from it. I'm not
Mhm.
shocked that people um are like actually ignorant to it. And then I think that a lot of the anger came from the fact that people genuinely did not believe it to be true. Like they thought I was lying. And I don't know how it's been successfully rewritten historically, but a lot of people really did believe Elvis like was the like grandfather of
Oh,
rock
yeah,
music.
right. The originator or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been very well. I mean, this is the importance of
Yeah.
people telling their history, and this is my culture, these are my ancestors, so for me it's important for me to tell their story and it to be known, their contributions, because this is what happens. Like rock music was only created less than 100 years ago,
Mhm.
and already in that time span it's been rewritten that we're not even a part of the history at all. And the reason people said why does it matter, and like it matters because we're excluded from it for this reason, because it's been marketed that we don't belong in it. So then when we try to be in it, now we're being told we can't, and not just by white people. We're being told by our own communities. The song wasn't like for white people. I didn't make this song for white people. I made this song for everyone. And a lot of who I made it for were other Black people who themselves kept telling me, that's white music. Why are you making white music? Why are you listening to white music? That's white stuff. And a lot of Black kids and kids of color in general, they'll tell you that if they're into this type of music, they grow up hearing that, oh, you're into that white stuff, or why are you listening to that? And so I think it's important for us to show that as a people, we can be diverse. We can have other interests outside of just hip hop and R&B, or just outside of football, outside of basketball. We can be into hockey and swimming and different things. And I think it's important to show the diversity of Black people. And that's why I thought it was an important message. And you know, some people didn't resonate with that, but
you know, it's interesting when I read the title of the song, the first thing I thought back is Little Richard. How could you forget Little Richard, right? Before, I think most people would think, whoa, Elvis is the originator. I think Little Richard always.
I think it, like I said, it depends on what household, what culture you grow up in. I personally did not grow up in a household that talked about Elvis or mentioned him. But like I said, I'm not from maybe that subculture of America where that's what it's important to them. But like I said, it was very well marketed. I mean, you already know back in the day, record labels used to take Black artists and put white families on the covers of the albums. They used to put white people, smiling white families on the covers of Black albums so they would sell, because most people weren't trying to buy Black music. So, you know, there's a lot of history that goes behind it of why Blackness wouldn't be associated with the genre. Like I said, the only reason why it's really important to me is because it causes a lot of racial bias even in the industry. Like being a Black artist trying to get signed to something other than hip hop and R&B, it's really hard because a lot of labels won't even like sign you if you don't match certain racial demographics, because they feel like, oh, no one's gonna want, this is not marketable in this lane. Like they're gonna sign a bunch of long-haired white dudes, but they might overpass, like, you know, pass you because you don't have the rock look, the metal look. So people don't understand how deep it goes, of why like it's important to have representation in these spaces. So
yeah, I mean, even if you think back, I don't know how far back you go into the classic rock, but I mean, Led Zeppelin basically plagiarized blues, you know, blues artists. So it's like, wow, you know, it goes real deep, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, Black Sabbath started off as a blues band.
That's true.
And they contribute their music to blues. And I think, you know, the greatest of musicians, they give credit where credit's due. And it's not the artists in general who are denying the Black roots of it. It's the fans who they have a very limited perspective of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned getting signed. So you did get signed. You're putting out an EP 25th of August. And it's five tracks, I think. But in there you got Loose, you have Bad Dog, and then the collaboration with OTEP, The Man, which is also another catchy tune. Actually, all your tunes are catchy, but take us into that one. How did you meet OTEP and how did you collaborate with her?
That was actually through my producer, SJ. I work with her on like a majority of my tracks. I believe they're like long-term friends. But she respects, like, I have a lot of OGs that follow me. I have a lot of OGs that follow me. And like even Fishbone, like,
oh, nice.
Like, I actually just asked them if they want to do a song together. Like last week, they were like, "Oh, yeah,
wow, nice."
Yeah, like I literally like a lot of the OGs. I think a lot of the OGs like me because of the fact that like I bring a certain authenticity and rawness that has been probably missing from the scene for a while. And she likes, you know, she likes my message, and she like thinks I'm badass.
Yeah.
Like she respects me, so she, she was down
Yeah,
because,
right. You know
you know,
what's cool though? I think the pairing really works well. I mean, I could envision you, going supporting her on a tour or whatever, and you'd go over well with her fan
yeah.
base.
Right now I'm also in the talks with Kitty about a collab. I'm in talks with like a lot of
Oh, wow.
like OGs, yeah. Like so, we'll
Hmm.
see what happens. Fingers crossed. It's about scheduling, but
Right.
um, all these people follow me, and they, like I said, a lot of them respect me, and they, um, I think, like I said, the reason why is because of the fact that they like my authenticity.
Hmm.
I don't come off as just like a clout chaser or like a just gimmick person. I really am doing this because I really do want to say F you to people. So I think
There you
I
go.
think that's, cool.
Yeah, right. Um, so I know you mentioned collaboration. So is the plan release this EP and then maybe do another EP down the way, or how are you going to work this? Because I know you're doing a different, kind of the newer way of marketing yourself. You did the videos, and then you did some more videos, and now some of the tunes from the videos are going to be in this EP. So I imagine that's probably the way to go for yourself as far as marketing the music and stuff.
I think, yeah, people don't get it, like the new wave of things. It's really, really hard as an artist to step back and like do full projects because today's world is so fast paced and it's very microwave, and
Hmm.
everything is like instant, and people forget about you in the next week. And like the way streaming works is like if you don't post in a while, then things go down, and then if you don't post in a while, like social media views go down. So like it's really hard to be an artist in today's world with like it's a very high demand of content and consistency. And so stepping back, like I said, and doing like a full project, and it's very hard to do unless you've already have a very established fan base. And I'm still very new and
Right.
I'm still building. So it's really hard at this point to step back and be like, I'm gonna take a break and work on this and work on that. So what I'm doing is now is like I have the EP dropping. I'm making other songs in the meantime,
Hmm.
that aren't released yet, but I'm trying to have like it be a constant rotation. And like I said, there's just a lot of demand for that consistency because
Hmm.
you post a song now, you promote it on
Right.
social media for a couple weeks, and then people are
Hmm.
like, "What's that? What else? What else? What
Right.
else?"
Right.
Um, and so it's like really hard to, like I said, step back and then create full projects. Like, I'm gonna take a year off and make a whole
Hmm.
album. It doesn't really work in today's world where it's
Right.
like you have to constantly be posting, constantly promoting. Um, so that's just like the difficult part about it is
Sure.
like keeping up with that.
So just having a consistent presence is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I said, until I feel like until you have like a very, very strong fan base
Hmm.
that's literally like knocking down your door begging for stuff.
Right.
When you're building, it's literally just like you're so forgettable. Like you can have a viral moment
Hmm.
or you can have like a song that's popping, but then like I said, like then it's like, okay, whatever, cool, that's over, and then moving on.
Right.
So you have to just constantly be like putting things out and constantly
Right.
going. And like I said, it can be kind of exhausting because sometimes it makes the quality of music lack
Uh,
because people are always just trying to like make stuff that goes viral or make stuff that like just to make it go out
hmm.
fast. And you really can't take as much time as you might want to like sit back and really create. In today's world, it's just really hard and
Yeah.
just the way it is.
So for yourself, how does the songwriting process happen? I mean, can it just happen anywhere? Like you could be sitting like on your couch, like right there, and you come up with something and you jot it down, or do you have to get into that writing mode?
I really don't force it anymore. I don't write shit until I feel like until it comes to me. So like I don't really in general, I don't really like sit there and be like, okay, I have to think of an
Hmm.
idea, I have to write something. Like most of my inspiration just comes from like I'll just like wake up from a dream or something, or maybe I had something happen that day, or maybe I watched a video and it triggered like an idea or something, and then I'll write that down and kind of go with it.
Hmm.
But I try not to like force it because then I
Mm.
feel like it comes off as corny or
Okay.
like it's not like, and the
Yeah.
kind of music that I make, I don't make pop music. I'm not a
Right.
hip hop artist.
Uh-huh.
So with music like I do that hits very heavy topics, I try not to come off as like too gimmicky or corny or cheesy
Hmm.
because like I said, metal and rock they're very, the fan base in general is very fucking like elitist, and a lot of times they're very picky, and if things come off as very gimmicky or if it comes off as cheesy, they'll freaking hate you for it. And even in my authenticity, they'll like think I'm corny. So uh, the
And
thing is, like, if you make things too trendy or you try
right.
too hard, a lot of times you're like, this is not authentic enough. This is not raw enough. So
Sure.
I try to wait till it just happens organically so they don't like think I'm
Right.
a raw, which
Right.
I mean, that's
But
clear.
I'm guessing, I mean, just kind of what I'm hearing from you, it's like you probably could care less if they think something's corny or whatever, right? It's something that you release. I mean, I don't think that bothers you
as,
much.
as long as I don't agree with them, like if I don't think it's corny, then cool. But if I think it's kind of corny and then they think it's corny, then it just like, damn, you're right, it is corny. Then that hurts.
You're willing to accept it, huh?
If
Nice.
I think, but I mean, if I don't, sometimes things are a little bit corny and that's cool. But
Sure.
like, but if they call me corny and I didn't accept it to be corny, then that probably would bother me. Like if I was trying to, so I don't know. It's a certain level of corn that I
Right.
mean, I'm a little bit corny.
Sure.
I'm a little
Sure.
bit corny. I'm a little bit of a corny person, but I don't want to be corny where it sounds gimmicky. I don't want to be gimmicky. I
Right.
don't want to sound like I'm just chasing a trend. That's the
Yeah.
But like I'm a little bit corny in my style a little bit because like yeah, I make new metal. New metal's fucking corny. Like what the fuck? Like I make new metal. It's the corniest like metal genre there is. Like,
Right.
but that's why I like it
Right.
because it's fun.
Right.
Pop punk is corny. Like
Yeah.
so, it makes it fun. So I
So
mean,
I just got a few more questions. Hey, thank you for your time. This is great. A little bit of insight into kind of the mind of Stormy's, thoughts and thought process on the music and stuff like that. So I got a couple more things. So the EP August 25th is called Fatherless. Can't wait to get my hands on that one. I hope it's going to be out on CD, right? Because I'm still a CD
I
guy.
don't know. I
I
don't
hope
know.
so.
It's
Oh, I'm
like
gonna look.
the problem is the companies. They've
Uh-huh.
been backed
Right.
up ever since COVID, and
Sure.
I don't know. Like every time I talk to like vinyl companies and stuff
Sure.
too, they're always like backed up for a year. I don't know. They're always like backed
Right.
up.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. But the cool thing is the music's out, so it'll be out there for other people to scope out. And I think it'll probably wind up on all the major streaming sites, right? Because I got Amazon
oh
Music. That's
yeah.
what I listen to. So I know your music's on there already. So I'll check that out. If it's not on CD, I'm still a CD guy. So I'm kind of the old school in that way. But
Yeah, listen, I've been trying to talk about like those like physical copies.
mhm.
Kind of work on that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know
But
about cassette, but CD's fine by me. So a
it's,
couple more
oh
couple
God.
more things before I cut you loose. So plans for live appearances. I think you've done some live shows already, kind of christened the band and stuff like
Oh
that. But what
yeah, I've
about
done
anything coming up or anything kind of in the works that you can share at all?
with live shows.
Yeah, right. I
Um,
mean, you're buddies with OTEP. I mean, maybe she's going to be doing some performances, and you can kind of, support that tour or those series of shows or something.
if she reaches out, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely would
that'd
be
be
fun.
cool.
I mean, my last show was June 30th,
Okay.
but I was doing shows the beginning of this year.
Mm.
First half of this year, I did shows, and then I did a couple last year. Um, like I mean, I'm definitely like excited to tour, and I'm excited like to get out there and like I gotta find a tour manager,
Mm.
but
Right. Right.
I'm excited about touring. I'm excited about traveling with the music. I do get inquiries I just kind of need to like get it all together and get like a really solid like performance band. I have like some session musicians I work with that work pretty well. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to possibly do like some shows maybe like towards the end of the year, like around maybe around like October, November, December, maybe do a couple shows here and there. But definitely more like next year I would love to do like a full-blown tour.
Right.
I'm not able to do shows right now, but
Sure.
you know, I'm probably not gonna do any shows for like the next 2 months, um but yeah, like I would love to get out there and do more. I mean, the thing about today too is like everything is so social media based that it's funny because most of the most popular people are like barely even performing. Like it's mostly like all this social, it's mostly like social media. Um, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I really do like getting out there and doing stuff. I love like performing. I like being around people, I like connecting in person. I'm like, I'm getting there. But like I said, my last show was June 30th.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Last one, and I'm really curious about this because again, you can hear a lot of Rage Against the Machine, that kind of groove to the tunes and stuff like that. I'm just curious if any of your music has come across, Tom Morello's path, and if so, did he give you any feedback on that?
No, not Tom Morello, not yet.
Okay.
That'd be cool. But they definitely are like my biggest inspiration vocally. I always tell people like there's different types of metal vocalists, and I definitely take most of my vocal style from Zach De La Rocha as far as like because I'm not going for like the whole death
Right.
metal thing or black
Right.
metal vocals. I'm not going for a lot of like traditional type of I'm going more like that direction. It's less of like a death scream, less of like a black metal scream. It's more like I'm fucking tired of y'all. I want to punch y'all in the throat. Which just
Right.
fits me better.
Yeah, right.
Because like my whole thing is I want to be heard. I want to be understood. And it's not about like I love the artistry of like a good like death scream and all that. But for me, my screams really come more from like the buildup of emotion of like wanting to cuss somebody the fuck out. So it's really not even about like just screaming. It's
Right.
more about like this is kind of the last step before I kick you in the nose. So I kind of
Right.
like kind of
Ouch.
sounds more like
Right.
it's just more like this rage. It's actually like it's like rage. It's more like that's kind of more the direction I go in vocally. It's just fits me better.
Sure.
I try to go where I go naturally, what I fit into naturally versus force it. So yeah.
Oh, last question. I was going to cut it right there, but out of the tunes on the EP, right? Which one was the one that took you longer to kind of refine into what we hear on the recording?
What do you mean?
Like which took longer in the writing process and putting it together and went through various different phases?
Mm, um, I guess I would say like they're all kind of equal to be honest.
Yeah.
The process with all of them. My writing process is never long. Nothing ever has been. They're all like about 2 writing sessions max, pretty much. Like typically with like SJ, the process is like either I'll have an idea or she'll just send like I'll send her the inspiration of what I want instrumentally. Then she'll work on the production part of that. And then she'll be like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. It's cool. And a lot of times I'll just keep listening to like the instrumental for a couple of days or maybe a week. So, and I'll kind of get like an idea. I'll usually write up like an outline, and then me and her will like sit down, have like a writing session, and kind of like bounce ideas off each other. I'm mostly lyrics, and a lot of times she helps me with more of the melody and the cadence.
Right.
Like I'll have some melody ideas, but she's really good at like kind of getting a melody,
Sure.
you know, versus like I said, a lot of times I just write my lyrics kind of like all over the place with no structure at first. And then she helps, you know, me and her together, we like break it down into like what's gonna be the chorus, what's gonna be the pre-chorus, what's gonna be verse 1. But like I'll come through with like just all these ideas, a big jumbled amount of ideas. I'll just write like pages of like lyrics and lines towards this one topic, and then she's like, okay, like let's break this down. Where should this fit? Where should this fit?
Right.
And we'll work together to kind of see where it fits and all that. And then usually like we'll have one more session with writing and putting things together. And by then we usually like, yeah, we record it. And our recording sessions are pretty long. Like for one song, about 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because like, yeah, we take each song very seriously.
Right.
Like 8 hour sessions we'll do for each song, because sometimes we'll make a couple writing adjustments that day in the studio. And like, cause sometimes when you're recording things, then you're like recording like, I don't like the way that actually da. So then we'll kind of go back to the drawing board and we'll be like, okay, maybe the melody should be a little bit more like this. And then I'll make changes as I'm in the session. Sometimes I'm like thinking I'm going to be more intense here, but then I'm like, let me actually try it vocally like this instead. So like, yeah, like 6 to 8 hours we'll usually have like booked for a studio for one song. And she works me like a dog, like for like the screams and all this different stuff. She'll make me do like 20 takes.
Wow.
Like a lot of takes. Yeah, like a lot of takes, like very perfectionist. And then yeah, like so yeah. And yeah.
Wow.
Definitely not going in for an hour, 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
No.
Man.
No.
Wow.
I take it very seriously.
Sure. Well, Fatherless is out August 25th. Best of luck with it. I mean, I hope it results in probably some bookings, supporting some bands. That'd be cool to see you supporting some other acts that are national established. That would be cool. So love the tunes. Thank you for your time, and we'll get this out to the folks at Freeman. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.